it's Kimberly and welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a review of a menstrual cup. So if that is something that you are completely not interested, I am not offended. You may click off now. If you are interested though, stay tuned. I figured I would do this because I think this is really helpful. The one time, or when I finally moved over to using menstrual cups, it's been a couple of years now. I wish I actually remembered how long it's been, but it's at least been 2 or 3 years. I watched videos to figure out if this was the right decision for me. Basically it was because I wanted to save money, and I wanted to use something less toxic than tampons, and because I'm active and a dancer, using pads doesn't really work for me. I've been using the Diva Cup, which I have here. I've been using that for majority of the time that I've been using menstrual cups. For a hot second, I tried the Lena Cup, and Amazon has a great program where it's like, they know how, or not Amazon, whoever sells it, is basically like you can get your money back if it doesn't work, because menstrual cups are really specific and if there's a massive learning curve. So I really appreciated that. The Lena Cup did not work for me. It just like, I was leaking, so there was that. I tossed it in the trash and I got my money back. I took to good old Amazon and I decided to pick up this new one. It comes like this. It's called the Aiwo, I'm not really sure, but it's AIWO. And it had this whole massive kit, so I'm gonna open it up. I got it a couple days ago and I'm expecting to be on my cycle soon, so I'm gonna try it out and I'll let you guys know how it is. I think this is like the deluxe packaging or something like that. I got it for $20.99 and then there was a $2 off coupon, which is actually cheaper than the Diva Cup. I feel like the Diva Cup is about $25 or more. I think this is either Chinese or Japanese, and you can tell by the instructions because they are complete. I'm looking at the characters, that's why I know it's not Korean, because I can read those. And the instructions are just completely broken English. It is what it is. If this is your very first one to try, you obviously should look online for the correct instructions, but it's cute that they offer a little product manual like this, but it's a little hectic to try to read just because it is clearly translated and it doesn't quite make sense. But because I have used a menstrual cup before and for a while, I understand what they're trying to get at. The reason why I got this one was because it looks extremely interesting. I didn't open it, but it has like a little stem at the bottom that says that when your cup is full or seemingly full, you can just squeeze it and the blood that from your menstrual will come out, as opposed to if you're in public and you have to take the whole thing out, it can get messy. But I think that that's awesome and it alleviates the stress that you may have where you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I leaking, am I not? I've had some moments of leaking with my Diva Cup, but because of the way that the suction is, it almost always is fine. The Diva Cup is 15 milliliters is the small, or they say the one where like if you haven't had a baby yet, oh, it comes in this carrying case. This one, the smallest one was 25 milliliters, which is quite interesting, but because that's bigger than the Diva Cup, but I thought I would just try it anyway. This is the actual cup. I'll open it up on here. It's sealed completely, so you can't get into it. It comes with a collapsible sterilizing cup. You would fill up with boiling water and you would cover it and then just let it sit there and sterilize until it's ready. And then take it off and pull it out, and then when you're done with it, you just collapse it. I think that's really cool. And it's BPA free. Cool. I love that. We're on the right path with that. It comes with a little carrying case, so that's really nice. Am I worried that this one is going to be lower or sit lower? You know, kinda, but I'm always up for a challenge just to see. I have no idea like if I have a low cervix or not. I've never quite figured it out because I just kind of go off of, does the Diva Cup fit? Yes. Did the Lena Cup fit? No. Every single person is different, so it's just a learning curve, but it's highly worth it. So I'm gonna open this for the first time. So here it is. I'll show you this one because it is not used at all, but And it looks, to me, it looks smaller, but I think, I think that this part, so it has the little measurements. So it says 24 milliliters, 12, 6. It's very interesting to me science-wise. Like, you think when you're on tampons and pads, you think you're like, sorry, you're bleeding so much. And having these things made me realize it's really not a lot. Like, it's not a lot, because I don't know milliliters that well, but let me just see. My Diva Cup has milliliters and ounces. So 15 milliliters was a half an ounce. Half an ounce a day per couple days, depending on who you are. I understand that other people have extremely heavy flows. Mine usually lasts about 3 to 5 days and I'm good to go. First day is usually the most intense. Everything else after that's okay. I think that's also something about being a vegan, or for me specifically, having gone vegan, things like that. I noticed that my menstrual cycles are not that crazy. It's just the first day. I feel heavier on my heels. I have some bloating. I feel tired. I do break out before the couple days before my menstrual cycle. And then we're Gucci after that. Anyway, so this is the cup, like I was saying, just so you can see. It's got the suction at the top. So you would, this is like how I do it. So you pinch it and then it's like this. Some people do, like, they fold it and go like that to enter. You can watch other videos. This is my own personal experience. I'm not about to sit here and be like, this is exactly how you do it, because there's a learning curve. What I do know you want to make sure is that once it's inside, you want to make sure it suctions, like, because that's how you know that everything's going right into there. And then this, which is interesting, is at the bottom. So here is where you'll be, I don't always do my hands, you'll be like releasing. So it's pinching and opening, I guess. So I wasn't seeing an opening right away, so I was like, how does this get out? But there's a little, this is so funny. There's a little opening that occurs and then it closes back. So that's cool. I hope it stays like that. I hope I didn't mess anything up by like squeezing it, but that's the point. So I guess you would just squeeze it and it's gonna fall, it would fall right into the toilet, I believe. Yeah, that makes sense. So don't like stand and do this, obviously, but only thing I think I'm like really kind of wondering about, I'm looking at my monitor, sorry, is like how much this will stick out, but maybe it sits higher. We'll see. I'll let you guys know. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm not really that pressed. It is something that is important to me, as opposed to using tampons, so I will continue to use them. But I just wanted to show you, so you'll see me periodically. I'll come back in and talk about how this goes. Hopefully it goes well. All right, so I'm gonna be showing how this cup works. So I'll show you with water, and then I'll show you how it comes out. So let's say we fill her up, and throughout the day, basically there's this little thing at the bottom that you can squeeze, and I'll show you how much actually comes out. So this is what you could periodically be doing throughout the day, so that, and you'll see that the water comes out. It's actually a good amount, and it goes to the end, and then it would stop. The cup that they give you, I'm just gonna put this in here. Okay, so I just added the top on. I wanted to make sure it's secure. And now I'll just sit this here for about 6 to 10 minutes and it'll be boiled or sterilized like they say, and I'll save it and put it in the travel bag that it comes in for my next cycle. All right, you guys, I am back. So I just had my first cycle this past week. So how was the experience? Okay. Overall, I would say it was good. I only have used this once though, so I figured I would come on here and start the discussion instead of waiting for 2 cycle rounds without having a discussion with anyone, because maybe you guys have tips and tricks as well. But basically, I'm gonna give you guys some tips for how my experience was. Everyone is different, but I started it on Sunday night. How it is for like inserting it. It's obviously much longer than, I have it right here. It's much longer than any other cup that I've ever had. I usually use a Diva Cup, as I mentioned before. What's the main difference is that this little valve. At first it was uncomfortable. I learned later on in the week that, or I tried later on in the week, here's a tip, to use my finger to push the cup up higher once I was inserting it. So not pushing obviously on the valve or the stem, but the actual cup, just pushing it higher once it's in, so that the bottom doesn't stick out, because basically when I first put it in, it was sticking out and I was like, this is crazy uncomfortable. But you just have to like push it up a little bit more and then it works. It's a positive and a negative. It's a positive that you can't open the valve any way. It won't be square. It has to literally be lined up to the way the line is and then open it. You're not gonna be able to like see it, but maybe you can actually. Anyway, so you can't do it this way. You have to have it lined up in order for it to open. So that means that when you put this in and you're twisting it around and stuff to suction, when you go, if you don't remember, when you're trying to empty it, your hand angle can be a little bit off, which was happening with me with both my hands when I was trying to empty it out the first time. I was like, oh, I have to twist it around first so that it lines up with the angle in which my hand is at, and then I can I can release it. So just keep that in mind, because I didn't, and then I was just like, whoa, how do I figure this out? But basically, that's the only thing. When it first goes in, there's no holes on the sides of the top of the cup for the suction to be easily removable. That's what it has in the Diva Cup. So it is a little bit harder, but you just have to, what I do, I just bear down and I start by pulling on the stem a little bit, getting it a little closer down. Then I put my hand in so that, or my finger in so that I can unleash the suction and pull it out. It's trial and error. That's something that for my second round I want to get better at, because I felt like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to get this out? Like it's just very high up. But again, you don't want it too low, because then it's gonna stick out, obviously. So you have to have it up a decent amount just so that's clearing. If you don't put it in the right way, or you don't feel that, it will leak. So I did have on the second night, overnight, I should have known. Taking it out and cleaning it was fine. I have a wash from Diva Cup that I used. It's some sort of cleansing cup cleaner or whatever. I just used that as well and it was fine. Put it back in. Was kind of sensing that it wasn't suction. Of course, I leaked and I had to take it out and put it back in. So I was kind of confused, but you can feel it. You just tap the cup on the side once it's in and it should be fully opened. So I don't really know what happened, but it just, something wasn't right in the way that I was doing it and it did leak. So just keep track of that. The actual process. Okay. When I first put it in after that morning of overnight to the next day, throughout the day I kept kind of checking because I was just nervous. I was like, oh, is it working? Whatever. The first time I did the whole valve thing, this is gonna sound crazy, but it was kind of cool. I was just like, wow, okay, like once it's lined up correctly, you just squeeze it and it just starts to drop out. Like it comes out much easier. And then I went about my day and kept going. And then I came back a couple hours later, the next time I used the bathroom or whatever, and I did it again. What I think is mega, mega, mega awesome about it is that you basically can clear your cup out, like everything will come out from the valve, and then when you're taking it out, you're not as worried like, oh, is it gonna be spilling or anything like that. It will just come out and then you won't have anything in it and you can just wash it. It's just much easier just to streamline the process of like taking it out and it's already empty because you emptied it through the valve, and then washing and then putting it back in. So I really liked that. Also, I can't remember what the word is because I just haven't worn pads or tampons in forever, but I was nervous, so I wore a Light Days thing, the thin pads, like I don't know what it's called, the Light Days. I wore that on the first main day, the first full day, just to be wary of like leaking and stuff like that. All right, so day 3. This is the day that I had some auditions, so this is for an active person or whatever. I was kind of nervous until I realized to push it a little higher. I was nervous how I would feel dancing or moving around with it, but it was fine. It was all good until I went to the bathroom. So this was like midday or so. I went to the bathroom and I was like, let me just empty this out a little bit. I squeeze, nothing's coming out. And I'm like, that's kind of weird. So I squeeze and I see nothing and I'm like, all right. I get up to like stand and blood just flies onto the floor. literally onto the floor. And it's not like it's far. It didn't like splatter everywhere, but it literally, a good chunk or a drop just like went right on the floor. And I was just like, oh my God, mortifying. But these stalls that I was in, they're kind of long, so, and no one was really waiting that I saw. If they did, they didn't say anything, bless them. But there was blood on the floor, so I had to like sit back down, wipe the blood up, and then I was like, okay, that's weird. That's what happened. I did it again. Literally within the span of like 30 seconds, I squeezed it, thought there was nothing there, stood up, blood flies on the floor. I sit down, I clean up the blood, and I'm like, okay, clearly there's something in there. Let me try again. Squeeze it, and not realizing what was causing it or whatever, or it was just a delay. I squeezed it, saw nothing, went to stand up again, and another blood section or whatever just flew right back on the floor. And I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? So, you know, it's an embarrassing experience, whatever. It happens. We're women. Like, it is what it is. What did I do? I sat back down, cleaned the blood up off the floor. So my tip for you on a heavy day, if you squeeze and you don't see anything, don't like move right away. Like literally squeeze it open, close it, and then stand up. Because that literally like was 2 times right onto the floor. And that's how I was like, okay, first of all, I need to squat better over this toilet because I just like got blood on the floor. It happens. I'm no longer embarrassed about it. I think it's actually quite comical. It is what it is. That was the only major problem that I had the entire week. That it only happened once. Sorry. It only happened twice in the matter of 30 seconds. But from there I learned, like, girl, you need to wait. Like, give it a second. Because again, it's not that large of a valve and it's not super tiny of a valve. So like whatever. I can't explain what happened, but it did. And I learned from it. And the rest of the times that I was using it throughout the week, I just made sure to give myself an extra second and not just like squeeze and go, you know. First whole experience, I thought that was great. It's not going to be a perfect run. My recommendation to you guys is it's a learning curve. So just know that it's not going to be perfect and do the things you can to see if you can make it better. I think this is an amazing product. I think it's so cool. I look forward to my next round to see if the little issues that I have go away now that I have a little bit more knowledge. Have you guys ever used anything like this? I only saw a couple reviews. I'm definitely going to use it again. I will definitely let you guys know how it works if anything changes. The pros is that it's so unbelievably convenient to not have to worry about a full cup and when to take all of that out. It's so nice to know that you can empty throughout the day. You can take it out at night and empty it all the way. It lasts for 12 hours just like the other ones. Once I was completely done with my cycle, I filled this up with hot water. This is the collapsible cup that they give you. There's a top, you put it on, you sit it for 6 to 10 minutes, and then you're good to go. The cons is the learning curve. It is what it is. Is that really a con? You just have to figure out how it can fit for you. It can be uncomfortable and if you don't figure out the right way of pushing it up. So I'm curious the next time what will happen. So now I know how to push it higher. Let's see, does that like completely solve my problems? So I only ended up doing that on like the 4th or 5th day. By then it was pretty much done. But I'm gonna try that the next round. All right, guys, I started to ramble here, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I give this whole experience a 7 out of 10 on both parts. There were some pluses, some minuses, but overall, I'm very much looking forward to next cycle so that I can try it again, see if things worked or got better. I thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below if you like menstrual cups, if you use them, if you're nervous about using them or whatever. I hope this was very helpful, and I will see you in the next one.